coming on here with ending off Supergirl Month with the movie that was leading this whole event. Is Supergirl the movie, starring Milly Alcock. And I gotta say, I was a bit let down, but that doesn't mean the movie's absolutely trash. Actually, I think the movie kind of missed its potential a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because I think a lot of people really just wanted a Woman of Tomorrow movie. And honestly, I 100% understand. Honestly, the other thing was there has been a lot of things going on the internet for the last month and a half, 2 months about the movie that hadn't been out yet, and people just had to tear it to the mud. So a lot of people who have never really seen the film, or a lot of people who just really wanted to hate the film because she was a woman, affected its box office run so far. Only been out for a weekend. And another issue I have is the fact that a lot of people seem to put a lot of emphasis on this movie being exactly like the comic it was supposed to be inspired by, not a directly strong adaptation. Now, this is where my review comes in, because if you were going to adapt or at least have inspiration from one of the biggest comics for this character in the last 20 years, you should have just fully committed, right? And one thing that I do enjoy about this film is that they took the characterization of Supergirl from that comic and put it to screen beautifully. Writing for Supergirl is great. Millie Alcock's performance, incredible. She is Supergirl. I can't wait to see her and David Corinne Split actually interact back and forth together. And Man of Tomorrow, I'm excited for that. Congratulations, Millie. You sealed your spot as Supergirl for me. I'll give you that one. The character of Ruthie, I thought the girl who played her was actually really good in some scenes, a little flaky in other scenes. But all in all, she did solid. Jason Momoa was born to be Lobo. This movie proves it. We will be getting a Lobo series or a Lobo movie down the line. The guy who played Krem was trash. Krem, the villain, was trash. One of the worst villains in a very long time. He was awful. Now, I will get into that a little later. Nothing else really to go on. I mean, Crypto's pretty much out the movie for most of the film because he's the catalyst to try and like move the plot forward. All that being said, I thought the movie visually was nice. The practical sets were nice. The costumes were nice. The practical effects for the aliens and Jason Momoa and everyone else was nice. Visually, it's shot really well. Now, as far as the story goes, I thought the story was interesting. At least it wasn't really following the Man of Tomorrow comic directly, and he did say the movie was kind of inspired by it, not a direct adaptation. So I think people had their hopes really high. But I also understand. Uh, Something that really bothered me was I do think it was too short. I genuinely think Supergirl should have been like 2 hours 10, and that might not be a popular opinion, but here's why. Just certain things needed to be addressed, and one thing that I would have liked is I know there were a few more Krypton scenes that were taken out. I would have liked to have seen those to see what they carry to the plot. Excuse me. There's supposed to be more on Krem, like just more seeing stuff that he's done, more of his insidiousness, all these things going on. Some child abuse towards people, I guess, maybe even Ruthie. Like, it would have been nice to have seen that. I genuinely think that that sounds crazy, right? But it would have at least established him as a little more menacing and why you really need to kill this fool. Yeah, we know he's like trafficking women and getting them out the way to build like a male society, which, sure, I guess, not really a terrible plan, but he is a psycho. Like, he is genuinely crazy. Um, that being said, I do think the race against time story is usually a good idea if done well. I just don't know if it was really executed well here. Because, like, we knew Crypto was going to die, right? And that would have just been really dark. If Crypto died, that'd have been dark as hell. I know some things kind of catch people off guard. Like, the fact that Supergirl is powerless a good amount sometimes and she's like fighting, getting her ass beat. That's fine because I kind of don't want her to steamroll the whole film. That's kind of the problem with a character like Supergirl is that she's too powerful. So you got to make something happen, right? So because people would have complained she was too perfect, she was a Mary Sue, da 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 da. Oh, look how good she is at everything. She doesn't have any flaws, but the Supergirl does have flaws, right? And I love the fact that Supergirl has flaws. She is very flawed. She is not perfect. She is a train wreck with superpowers who chooses to not really have them so she can feel what it's like to be normal. And that is a sad reality for someone. And for people who are like complaining about it, understand if you lost your entire planet and then you lost your entire planet twice because you got to experience it, you wouldn't be okay either. And her putting on headphones and falling in love with the sound of music was her way of drowning out the loudness of the earth. So yeah, the race against time thing was a good idea. I just think they should have did it better. The reason why, like I said, more on Krem, more on the Kryptonian scenes. What else? I do think the Green Sun should have been explained because the Green Sun thing actually doesn't come out of nowhere. It is a thing that is first introduced in I believe the early '60s, and then it is brought into the Woman of Tomorrow comic and actually built upon. And they say that the explosion of Krypton and the fragments of Krypton falling into a yellow sun or another planet changed it and messed with the star's power and turned it green, which means it's just a big ass ball of kryptonite radiation. So that is actually a really cool idea and a really cool way to explain it. And it was like a cool thing to would have actually had explained in the movie because anybody who doesn't know that would just be like, oh, well, the star is green and I guess it operates like kryptonite. So now Supergirl's her, but they don't know why. And it would come off very off putting to a lot of people. That scene was to get Supergirl out the way for a little bit. Let's be honest, right? Um, all in all, I thought the action was good. I'm not going to be super hard on the action. I thought it was as good as it was going to get. I thought it was more flashy somehow, but like I kind of put the action between that and Superman kind of like weirdly in the same. Like her action and Superman's action, not like Mr. Terrific or Hawk Girl or Green Lantern, like her action and Superman's action, I kind of put on the same level. She was a little more flashy because she was like throwing kicks and stuff and like things like that. So she was a little awesome. I thought her heat vision looked crazy. I thought her heat vision looked crazy. I don't know why people was bitching about the needle drop. I mean, it's like sure, like it's a needle drop. Maybe they don't like it. Cool. The song was a weird choice, but it was supposed to kind of be like, oh look, she's gonna grow out of it. She's gonna do better. This and third. I just kind of wish the development was a little more fleshed on. She just kind of seemed to have just like, I guess everything's good now. That's why I'm saying the movie could have been another 20 minutes longer, and they could have explained things in between gaps because the movie does move, like it does legitimately move. I thought Lobo didn't really add to the plot, but he was just so crazy and fun, and Jason Momoa's clearly perfect that I don't care. I just liked seeing him, and I'm so glad he finally got the role that he should have gotten before. And now he's Lobo, and we're gonna get a Jason Momoa series or a Jason Momoa movie as Lobo. So he's gonna be heading his own DCU DC Studios project at some point. Now I do understand why people don't like this movie. It is aggressively okay. I tend to try to find some nuance in these reviews, try to find some nuance in these movies. I like the film, I just don't love it. I wanted to love this movie. And what I got was it's okay. Some really funny stuff every now and then. Some humor just didn't land. The fights were cool. The effects were decent. All in all, it's fine. Now, it is not the end of James Gunn's DC as we know it. Ooh, it's not gonna kill DC. Ooh, Supergirl's not just disappearing and we're never gonna see her again. Ooh, all that rage baiting and grifting and all that crap. Man, anybody trying to hear all that? She's gonna have a big role in Man of Tomorrow. Her and Superman are gonna have a relationship dynamic that takes place. They're probably gonna defeat Brainiac together because that would be a good establishing thing for the super family. Fair enough. Now, The elephant in the room. David Curran with Superman. And when I say the elephant in the room, I mean it's awesome. He's just great. He is Superman. I love seeing him. His energy, his demeanor, his smile. He is Superman. Point blank period. Somebody was trying to say that, oh, they added more Superman scenes in the cell movie. Honestly, he's only in 3 scenes, and the scenes he's in are great. Like all 3 of his Superman scenes are like legitimately great. So I don't know what you guys are talking about. I think you guys are insane, but he's great. I love the opening scene with him, and he's just talking to her, concerned about her, wanting to see her. The middle scene, we get the flashback to when he finds her ship, and he's talking to her, and he's happy to see her, wanting her to like feel loved and wanted on Earth, and then telling her when her powers get kicking in. Because that scene's just, I like that scene a lot. And then the last scene where she's like, "I'm going to stick around for a while." They sit down and talk. They just, it's nice. And then he's like, where's Crypto going to stay? Because that dog drove him crazy in the last time. So, all in all, it was a nice little middle of the road movie to lead us into Man of Tomorrow. So, yeah, Supergirl, aggressively okay. Could have been better. The 20 minutes that I added in, I feel like would have been a little more solid, but I'm not a movie creator. I'm not a director. I'm not a writer. Just things that would have been nice to see, right? Um, so yeah, that kind of like concludes the review here because I don't really have a lot more to say. I wish I had everything to say, but I don't. But Supergirl Month does conclude today, and I had a great time this month building up to this, just doing different iterations of Supergirl, different iterations of Supergirl stuff, and I hope you guys enjoyed it along the way as much as I have. And I'm probably going to do this again for something else sooner than later, so be on the lookout for that. So, with that being said, like, comment, subscribe for more. I'll see you guys on the next one.